So this Brinc story starts off. Let's start with an intro. My name is Will Huddler. I'm VP of Public Safety Ops with Brinc Drones, and this story begins in a neighborhood in Las Vegas called Naked City. It's called Naked City because in the '60s, it's where the entertainers lived, and it was just outside of Las Vegas Boulevard, and all the entertainers would sunbathe there on the rooftops. It was two-story apartment buildings that were cinder block construction, and all of the entertainers would sunbathe on the rooftops, and so it became aptly known as Naked City. Today it's called Barrio Naked City, which is a pretty gang-infested neighborhood. And I bring that up because as a SWAT commander in Las Vegas, it was the tail end of a 14-hour barricade, and we had just killed a man after 14 hours. And I looked back at my deputy chief, and he and I were thinking the same thing, that 6 months before the shooting, I had submitted a request to buy a de-escalation tool. And that tool would allow us to have two-way communication with someone. And as I rewind this barricade shooting, I think about what the suspect said, the decedent now said. And he was a murderer from Missouri, but he had a daughter. We talked to her. We recorded her voice. He had a mother. We recorded her voice. And we were getting to know his family as this 14-hour barricade progressed or digressed, right? And I looked at my deputy chief, and he and I were thinking the same thing, because right before this guy went out in a blaze of glory, he told us, "Hey, boss, as soon as my cell phone dies, I'm coming out, but not the way you want me to." So he started a gunfight with us, and we won. And that's what happened. That's the story in many cities all around the country. When someone initiates a gunfight against trained police officers or trained tactical teams especially, oftentimes the tactical teams will win those gunfights because that's what they do. They train. And so that request that I made 6 months before that shooting was a result of a phone call that I got a year before that. A year before that, I was sitting in that same trailer in Las Vegas, just outside of the Route 91 concert hall, where 58 people were killed on my watch. And after that concert shooting, where I sent people that I know and love into a room that I thought they wouldn't walk out of, I received a call from a 17-year-old young man. His name is Blake Resnick, and that's Brinc. It's Blake Resnick Incorporated. He called me and he says, "Hey, this is who I am. I think I can build you something that'll help you, keep you from sending people into a room to face evil." And I didn't believe him. I said, I'm sure you're talented and you're smart, but we're busy, kid. And when I say busy, the folks in this room will understand. You know, the SWAT teams in America are busy. In Vegas, there's 400 operations a year. I mean, 2 active shooters, 12 hostage rescues. It's a very busy team. My boss gave me orders to go have coffee with this kid because he knew his dad. And I found out that from the ages of 14 to 17, he worked for Tesla, DJI, and McLaren as a teenager. So he built this drone, and he showed us this drone. And as cops, we were highly skeptical about this drone. And as a matter of fact, when he was flying it around our SWAT hangar, I had one of my negotiators knock it out of the sky. And I said, "Look, kid, I'm not sure what you're going to charge us for this thing, but it's going to break and it's going to get in the way." That's what technology does. It fails. But as he was flying it around, my negotiator sergeant says, "Hey, what if we can deliver a cell phone with that thing? What if we could do that?" Because here are the facts. On any hostage or barricaded situation, the FBI keeps statistics. They're good at that. If you're here from the FBI, I apologize. FBI keeps stats, and you're in the 96th percentile of a voluntary surrender and no additional injury to people involved if you can maintain communication during a barricade situation. Whether it's 40 minutes or 40 hours, if you maintain comms, your 96th percentile, well, no one else will be injured, and you'll get a voluntary surrender. And that was always our challenge. And as I sat in the talk on that barricade where we killed that man, I realized we lost communications, and now he's not alive anymore. And what we did here is this engineer turned this drone into a flying cell phone. And it's a cell phone that can't be thrown out or it can't be hung up. We don't have to rely on any barricaded person to answer. And what it's done now is it's replaced all of our robotic platforms in Las Vegas Metro and SWAT teams all over the country now. And Brinc is not a drone company. Brinc is a public safety company. Brinc builds solutions for folks that face evil and go into dangerous situations. We have 90 employees. 17 of them are police officers. 3 are military veterans. So 20, and we do have a token firefighter. If you're a firefighter, I apologize. We have one. He usually holds short outside and doesn't come into the office. He waits for us to get there first, then he shows up. So now, with the Brinc Lemur, what's happened is I retired last September, and I still wanted to be a part of protecting folks. So Blake says, hey, I'd like you to come on the team, and I'd like you to bring more of you on the team, because I don't want to sell these drones to police agencies. I want police officers to go talk to other police officers about our technology. So we built out this national network, and what this national network does is trains folks on our technology, provides customer support on our technology if something goes wrong. And when I say something goes wrong, I mean what we're used to technology failing for us. And so when that happens, we're SOL on operations. These are your tactical teams. They have nothing. They have no other options. If you're in this region, there's a man sitting right here named Toby 6. If you have a Brinc Lemur and you're getting ready to deploy on a barricade and your Brinc Lemur does not fire up, you wake Toby up at 2 a.m. He's used to it. He's got 20 years on a tactical team, and he will bring you a drone in the middle of the night and maybe even help you fly it on your operation. Again, Brinc is a public safety team. And if any of you have ever lost someone on a critical incident or had to make a notification or had to put a face on the wall as a result of a critical incident, what you know is you want to find solutions that will keep you from sending people into dangerous situations. And this is what this has done for us. I found out after the night of the concert shooting, after I sent 8 people into that room, which was called a barricade, and it was absolutely not a barricade at all. It took us 41 minutes to find the hotel room. It took us 36 seconds to make the assessment, place det cord on the wall, and blow the door. The decision was the food cart outside of that door was wired, and we had just sent a team downrange to check out what we thought was a V-bid that was also wired. So we all believed that food cart was going to go the moment people stepped into the hallway. And the reason why we believed that was because we hadn't found a shooter yet. And the death toll was climbing. And now we had officers missing. We had an officer who showed up at the concert. It was his 3rd day on the job. He was shot in the neck. His FTO grabbed him. His FTO is a UFC fighter, throws him into the car. He's laying on the microphone. They're driving to our University Medical Center. And all of us in that chaos, when it was really hitting the fan, we all heard the voice of that FTO talking to the trainee, telling him everything was going to be okay. And in that moment, we all needed to hear that. But as all of that was happening, we still hadn't found anyone with a gun. We had over 100 distract calls come in from first responders saying, hey, I have an active shooter at this hotel, active shooter at that hotel. We have an active shooter at McCarran Airport. What happened is we had a cowboy with a big belt and a belt buckle, put it under that fence, perimeter fence at the airport. He hoisted that thing up, and over 100 people were running across the tarmac at now Harry Reid Airport. So everything was occurring that night. We thought we were under some sort of Mumbai-style attack. So if anyone ever says Las Vegas Metro SWAT treated that hotel room like a barricade, they're uninformed about our tactics. So the decision I made that night while all this was happening was, okay, I'm not going to wait for the rest of the team to catch up to this element that found the door. I don't want to lose the whole team tonight if the cart blows up. So it'll just be these 8 guys, right? And when you're making decisions like that, That changes the way you see the world. When you know you may not get them back. Some of them you know very well. You know their kids, their wives. Your kids go to school with their kids, and you make a decision. Okay, I'm willing for you to possibly die tonight to stop this. And that sucks as a commander to make that decision. And so this technology, unlike other technology, was forced on the team from the top down. Usually it's a mischievous SWAT officer that comes up with a cool idea and is trying to sell it to whoever he or she can sell it to in the chain of command. This was the opposite, because we had our tails kicked so bad by an amateur, right? 58 people before we could do anything had already been killed by a man who had no idea what he was doing. And if he knew what he was doing, it would have been a lot higher than that. So we shoved this technology down the throats of our operators. They were dead against it. They didn't want to use a drone. They didn't want to be replaced. Even on the first mission the drone was flown on, the very first mission, they said, no, hold on, we're putting together our plan. Send the drone. And as soon as they saw that thing get in the house, get up the stairs in under a minute, and it wasn't clear in the structure, but it was giving them situational awareness so they could put together a more accurate plan in a timely manner. They started to realize, okay, this might work. And then the drone's in the hallway upstairs. And if you've been on a SWAT call out and you have a ground robot, you know what that looks like trying to get upstairs. That could be an hour and a half proposition, getting a ground robot upstairs, especially if there's a switchback, forget it. If there's a T-shirt on the ground, you're done. And now the robot's blocking the stairwell for the team to get upstairs. The drone gets upstairs in seconds. That right there, for a team our size, it's $8,600 an hour on a call out. That saved an hour and a half of that for us, right? 13 grand or whatever that is. The door is ajar. We think there's maybe somebody deceased on the bed in the master bedroom. Hey, let's see if that drone can push the door open. We didn't know. We hadn't done it before. But we were willing to go forgiveness over permission because we'd taken such a bad beating a year before that. So we push the door open with the drone. Now we can see on the bed. And all the technology we had used before that day became obsolete. Because normally we'd watch a SWAT guy who does 100 pull-ups before a call-out try to throw a throwbot through a window. And that's a disaster. SWAT guys can't throw. They can do many other things. They look really sexy in scarves and all that stuff, and they're always shiny and glistening. But they can't throw a robot. And you throw that thing in there and you're looking up and you can only see the ceiling. But now we can fly this drone over someone on a bed. We see, hey, there's no rise and fall on the chest. That looks like a bloodstain on the pillow. And I'm getting a little graphic here, but this is reality. Now the team can make entry with a little bit more situational awareness. And what has happened with us, we went from, it's not a huge dip, 2 to 1, but it is a huge dip when you're talking about percentages. We've gone from 2 officer-involved shootings a year, our SWAT team, down to 1. Well, that's not too many. Well, let me tell you, we all know one shooting can be the end of your city, can burn your city down. One shooting, right? So now what our mantra is, drone first. Thank you.